How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Joe the Geek. Welcome back to the channel. And tonight we're doing top 3, where we're going to be looking at our favourite Bat villains. Can't do it alone, so as usual, I've assembled a crack team of Bat experts, starting with my good friend, James T. Keegan. How are you doing, James?
Ew.
Ew. Are you well?
I'm very good, man. Let's talk Batman.
Are you ready to talk all things Batman? Well, we've got somebody who was probably there at the start of Batman, Efren. How are you doing?
I have my introduction already made me laugh, so let me start again. I'm gonna say it. I'll say, ¿Qué está pasando, familia de comic books? I thought I'd throw a little bit of my Spanish heritage.
Very good.
In.
Very good. How are you, my friend? Are you well?
Doing well. How about you guys?
Yeah, not bad at all, mate. Not bad at all. Thank you very much for joining. And finally, we're joined by everybody's favorite attention-seeking owl. It's very faint, Ben, but we're getting a woo-woo, I think.
Already.
You're looking
YouTube.
You're looking very good, Ben. Oh, well, I'm assuming that's Ben.
Yeah, and you should thank me for hanging around with you paupers. I am from the elite of Gotham, and you, nothing but shit on my shoe. I can't. It's me.
Hello, YouTube.
Hello. How are we?
Very good, very good. I'm liking the Riddler hat in the background there and the Joker mask.
Yeah,
very nice.
You know, making a bit.
Yeah. Efren's got his Batman T-shirt on.
Nice. See, we all make an
Batman
effort.
figures on display. James is wearing Spyro.
It's purple with the Joker.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
There you go.
That famous scene where Joker wears his Spyro T-shirt.
It was a cutscene, I believe, from
It's a mod you can get for Arkham Origins.
Yeah.
Actually. So,
Nice.
Anyway, are we all well, gents?
Yep.
Yeah, excited for this. This is well, I think we can all agree it's our favourite subject matter, isn't it? So.
Absolutely, Ben. I think I'm probably even a little bit more excited because you guys don't know really what each other's picked. And I think there's going to be some interesting discussion as we go on through the night. Particularly, I think it's going to get a bit heated when we get to least favourite at the end. Yeah. I think there might be fisticuffs. But in the chat, we've got good old StreamYard. Thank you for joining.
Quack, quack.
We'll quack. Excuse me. We've got good old Fuzzy. Fuzzy, the image you put up with me, you promised you wouldn't share that. So that was one of the special pictures I sent to him earlier on me and the Catwoman body. We've got Sonic. Nice of you to join, Martin. Thank you very much, bud. And we've got Ian Carter. Thanks for joining, Ian. And we've got Efren. Okay, guys.
And
so,
Cole.
And what? Oh, I didn't say Cole. Yep, and Cole, correct. Thank you very much for joining. He's just put a brilliant video out today, guys. Go and check it out, where he's doing a top 5 comics in his collection, kind of one of these chain things, where he nominates people to they've got to then show their top 5. So he's nominated me, so I might be coming to some of you guys to show off your books as well. Okay, so let's crack straight on. We're here to talk Batman. We're here to talk Bat villains. There are a whole host, as we all know, and what we decided early on was that we would not pick Joker because everybody loves the Joker. He's most people's one of their favorite villains. So we decided to take Joker off the shelf because that would just be an easy pick. Hi, Simon. Yeah. That said, I don't want to let you guys off too easy. So we've had lots of different iterations of the Joker on big screen, computer screen, and little screen. And we've got a selection of some of the bigger ones there that people probably recognize. So I want to know who your favorite Joker is from this assembled cast. Who performed the Joker the best? I'll start off with perhaps not the best, but one of the most unique ones, I think, is got to be my boy Jack Nicholson. I think he was absolutely first class in the Batman 89 movie. He played, excuse me, for me, a definitive Joker, the mob kind of gangster element of it. I've used one of his lines for years, which infuriates my wife, where I can't remember the name of the actress who plays his girlfriend in it. Can't remember her name. Anyway, she kind of comes up to him and says, "You look fine," and kind of dusts him off, and he just looks at her and says, "I didn't ask." And that to me kind of encompasses everything about his character. I think he's phenomenal. So, what about you guys, James? I'm going to come to you first.
I think Heath Ledger as the Joker is the single greatest performance ever put to film. So like that one's a very special place in my heart. But like Mark Hamill is just like fantastic, like phenomenal. Every version he's portrayed as well. But I think I'll probably go Heath Ledger.
Yeah, I mean that performance is, well, I think it's going to last forever, isn't it? It's just an absolutely iconic performance, and such a tragic performance, really, when you consider what happened, after that and all the rest of it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and it's just so creepy as well, like proper insanity,
Like just for such a unique spin on the character. Like I remember people freaking out. Oh, he's got long hair, he looks dirty and everything, but it just worked so well in that movie. It's just a masterpiece of performance.
Stunning. Ben, how about yourself?
It's really, really hard because I love.
That's why I ask you, because I always like watching you sweat. Yeah,
I know. I'm probably going to go Mark Hamill, just in the sense that if you close your eyes and read. If you can't close your eyes and read a comic book, if you read a comic book and you visualize, in your head, or kind of put a voice in your head. Sorry, wait, I can't find my words tonight. Let me start again. If you imagine a voice in your head, it's usually Mark Hamill's, right? Yeah. When you read that ha 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 on the page, it's Mark Hamill's laugh that you hear. So for that reason, I'm going to go for Mark Hamill, but completely agree with James. I think Heath Ledger's performance is immortal. I honestly think Joaquin Phoenix's performance is sensational as well. I do think Jared Leto didn't get enough of a chance to show us his Joker.
Yeah, I agree.
And even in the kind of Snyder cut, the sort of little bonus stuff that we got there felt a lot more intriguing than what we sort of saw in the Suicide Squad. So and Jack Nicholson, like, it's funny, I've spoke about it before, how the Joker will always encompass what a version of a gangster is, depending on the time or the setting. So I think everyone has done a really good job. And shout out to Jerome, what's his face as well?
In Gotham.
Yeah, because he ultimately played 3 different versions, didn't he?
And all of them were crappy. All of them were really,
hate the show,
really
but
so I mean, basically, Ben, there, an answer to it, you picked all of them. Is that right?
No, maybe. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Mark Hamill there. Did any of you guys watch the original Flash TV series going back in the 80s? I think it was, with John Wesley.
Yeah, he plays the trickster.
Yeah, he plays the trickster in that.
But it's basically the Joker. Yeah.
It is. It's just that he plays the Joker, but pretending to be the trickster because they couldn't say it was the Joker. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, he's very, very good. Very good.
Oh, shout out as well to John DiMaggio, who I love his voice. And sorry, all of them.
Troy Baker, really underrated one, I think, as well.
Sorry?
Go on, Efren.
Troy Baker, did you say?
Troy Baker? Yeah.
Yeah.
In Arkham Origins, I think he's phenomenal as well.
Efren, what about yourself?
Okay, guys. Going back to the 1960s, Cesar Romero from the original Batman series. To me, that was so much. I was a kid, it was just so much fun. The rogues, villain rogues, Batman in that series. Besides Joker, there was the Riddler, Catwoman, more than one iteration. That to me was just. I mean, I really like that. Just brings back a lot of good memories.
So I love that portrayal as well, and I've literally on what day on now? Monday, on the weekend I've paid my my invoice for my Mars Toys Romero Joker,
nice.
So that should be coming this week, and it's absolutely stunning. It's even got the detail down to the kind of the painted over tash that he has. So really looking forward to getting that this week, hopefully. Excellent. So I think we can agree, guys, that there's been some superb portrayals of the Joker, and I think I can't think of any, because you're right, Ben. I think
Sir Galifianakis as well as Lego Batman.
Yeah, that's the one you missed, Ben. You dissed him there. That's terrible. But no, I think you're right. I think Jared Leto didn't get the opportunity, really, did he? But we don't know what's going on with all these weird hints that are coming out from the Snyderverse. I wonder if we're going to get something more there, because every day
Very curious, isn't it? Yeah, he's teasing
because he's done Wonder Woman today. I think it was put an image of Wonder Woman out or
So,
something.
yeah, Dark Side,
Very
Batman,
strange.
Superman. Yeah.
What if we get an Elseworlds nightmare film?
Yeah,
called,
I mean, I would be all
Nightmare
in
or
for that.
Possibility, yeah.
I just hope that at the end of this, it's not just a load of rubbish. Do you know what I mean? That he's just been. I can't imagine he would be trolling people like that.
Could be a comic book, could be an animated film. You know, you just don't know.
I mean, he's not known for his humor, is he?
No, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, interesting stuff. Benjamin, you're a bit of a Bat villain fan yourself.
Yeah, this is a bit of a teaser, guys, of what's to come. But yeah, I love. I you know, like for me, the Rogues Gallery is what drew me into Batman. Like I would always pick, you know, when I was a kid, the villain figure over a Batman figure. That's the selling point for me. And as a cosplayer, it just lends itself to so much kind of fun and creativity around the characters, because a lot of the characters there'll be that kind of definitive look, but there's always lots of wiggle room for kind of interpretation, which you don't necessarily always get with like Marvel characters. But with Batman characters, it's kind of fun to explore visually how you can kind of switch it up a little bit. So as a cosplayer, that's a lot of fun to do.
I mean, we've done a few of these shows now, and I think on the X-Men one we had a similar slide with you on cosplay. So we'll probably need to make this a segment now, Ben. And everything we pick, I expect at least 3 cosplay images, right?
Okay.
I mean,
anyone else would be like, I can't do that, but I know I've got 200 images on my Dropbox ready to go, baby.
Well, have faith, Ben. Just before we move on, guys, I just want to say hello to a few people who've joined the chat. We've got Derby Entertainment. Thank you very much for joining. He's saying Mark Hamill is the best overall, but Ledger's the best written. Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. We've got Andy from Perpetual Comics. Thank you very much for joining, Andy. We've said hello to Cole already. And we've got Phil from Phil's Nerdiverse. Thanks very much for joining, mate. And he's just saying that Professor Pig cosplay is frightening. You should say it without the mask, it's even worse. Okay. Moving on, guys. So what we've done is, as usual, we've each picked a favourite, or 3 favourites. You guys don't know what everybody else has picked, other than if you sent us in a name, I would say, oh, someone's already got that. So hopefully some of these should be a surprise to you. So let's crack straight on. Straight away, we've got 4 very interesting choices here. Ben, we'll start with you because we're just talking about Professor Pig.
Yes. So as I said, it was a bit of a teaser of my choices for the night. So first up is Professor Pig, who debuted in Batman 666, but that's like a weird non-canon story. So it's not technically like the Professor Pig that we all know. But anyway, he was written or put together by Grant Morrison and Andy Kubert, and yeah, just a horrendous character in the best kind of way. A real kind of monstrous human being. So essentially, he's a deranged surgeon, I guess, and he's kind of fascinated with like making people what he would deem as like perfect, and he has his goons are called Dolatrons, which is basically where he will rip off like dolls' faces and then kind of like surgically attach them to other people's faces. Just a fantastic visual character as well. Like it's so simple. I love that it's kind of like a horrible twist on Porky Pig as well, with the little bow tie, but I love the kind of the design of the mask, very kind of cartoon like the cosplay I'd done. I really want to go back and do it and have a proper good 3D printed version of this kind of comic book mask. That's if anyone's out there with a printer, hit me up. Because I just think he looks great, and it really scratches that kind of slasher itch for me as well. With the sort of apron and the the blood splatter kind of permanently on his white shirt and stuff. So, yeah, very cool. Great interpretation in the Arkham games as well. I thought they did a really good job. And I think he's appeared in the Gotham series as well. But let's.
I can't remember about that. I think he has. I think you're right, but I can't remember.
I believe he is. Yeah, there's an episode or two with him in it.
Yeah. I mean, I love this character, and for me, I'm always torn between Batman villains. I do like the more crazy ones in terms of Man Bat, Killer Croc, the stuff that is a bit out there. But I absolutely love the ones who are just normal people who are nuts. And that's what this guy, he's just a psycho. He's just he would fit in with any slasher kind of horror movie, I guess.
Exactly, yeah. He's a slasher character. That's the
exactly, yeah. And I remember reading the early Grant Morrison run where I think it was some kind of adhesive or glue or something that he was using to get the masks on. And it was just horrific, them trying to remove these masks. And yeah. What do you think of him, Efren? Is he a character you're familiar with?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him. I know Benchley didn't like this show, but when I really started watching him was in Gotham. I thought it was portrayed, I like that series. So, but I know about this character. Yeah, I think he's a good character, very unique, to say the least,
Yeah, but I think the Arkham Knight kind of side story where it's the only real like proper murder you're following a serial killer. It's one of the best side quests in that game. So I thought that was my introduction to the character, and just opened with a bang, definitely.
What I don't know if you'll know Ben or not, but I get the serial killer element and all the rest of it, and the fascination with the dolls and stuff. Where does the pig come from? Is it why the pig?
He worships or is fascinated with the myth of Pygmalion, which is a Roman thing about a guy who sculpts his idea of a perfect woman that comes to life and stuff like that. But I think it's like a play on the pig thing of that. Yeah, I
didn't.
He's a weirdo.
Some kind of weird David Cameron kind of sex cult link or something going on. Yeah, jeez. Interesting one. Very, very cool character. I would love to say, as much as I wasn't overly blown away by the last Batman movie, I think this is the kind of character that would fit perfectly into that universe. The kind of the dark serial killer murderer. Do you know what I mean?
Although Batman and Robin, I think it's going to take heavily, isn't it, from that Grant Morrison run? So I think there's a high chance we might see him in that movie as well.
In that, yeah. Fuzzy's on my wavelength there. Yeah, I'm with you, Fuzzy. Efren, who have you picked?
So I picked Carmine Falcone, or Falcone, I forgot how to pronounce his last name, but he's a mafia, chief, king. I was going to say kingpin, but he rules over Gotham, and I just like this character because to me, he's not hiding behind a mask. We know who he is. He's just a mafioso who's causing havoc in Gotham. So that's why I chose him, and he was created by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli, if I'm pronouncing it right. And on TV and in the movies, he's been portrayed by Tom Wilkinson, John Doman, and recently John Turturro in the Batman movie.
John Turturro's great.
Yeah, I just really something about this character. Like I said, he doesn't hide behind a mask. He doesn't have really superpowers. He's a mafioso who, ruling over Gotham. That's why I chose him.
Yeah, he is their version of Kingpin, really, isn't he? He's the kind of the mob leader boss. What do you guys think of Carmine? Are you fans of his?
Yeah, like for me, I know you've spoke about the kind of more fantastical side of Batman, but I'm always more drawn to the stuff that's kind of rooted in reality, I think. And, Falcone represents that more than anyone. He is just a mob boss. I actually cosplayed Falcone at a Comic-Con once, and all it was like a tuxedo, grey sideburns, and then I did the iconic, Catwoman scratch. And one person got who I was, but I can tell you that made my fucking day, and it made their day as well. So yeah, I've got love for Falcone for sure.
Yeah, I always like street level characters. They always being a special place.
Yeah.
Always really well portrayed in other media though. Like Tom Wilkinson is fantastic in Batman Begins, and then John Turturro, one of the standout performances I thought in the Batman.
Yeah. Very cool pick, Efren. James, I'm not even going to try and pronounce your character.
Onomatopoeia.
That's what I was going to
So
say.
yeah, so this is he's a hitman, and his kind of whole thing is that he only speaks in like onomatopoeic words. So if he shoots a gun, he'll say like bang or boom. But like really ruthless, like very mysterious. He's primarily in. He's created by Kevin Smith. He's primarily in Batman Cacophony. He's the main villain in that. And then he has a little bit of a role in The Widening Gyre as well. But just like absolutely ruthless, like outsmarts Batman quite a lot in that book in a really shocking kind of ways. I love the visuals as well. Like I think it's just the black kind of mask with the trench coat and everything is awesome. And yeah, just really formidable opponent. I kind of wish we'd seen a bit more of him in the comics because he's only really appears in those two Batman stories.
Right.
Outside of like Green Arrow.
I was going to say I've read him in Green Arrow, but I haven't read him in Batman. I've got to read those two books you mentioned because you mentioned those a while ago.
Yeah.
Is his identity revealed at all?
So there's a shot in Cacophony. It's towards the end, I think, where you see him go home. You don't see his face, but you see him go home and see that he has a family and kids and stuff. It's really hauntingly kind of shown in the book. Yeah.
Are you familiar with this one, Ben?
No, you know what? He's not. I haven't read those stories. So I've seen some pictures and things, but I've never really got into him. But I love the design. Like very cool. I'm a sucker for a trench coat and a weird ass mask. So sign me up.
Yeah, looks cool. He was. I mean, like I say, I'm not familiar with him in Batman, but I've read the Green Arrow series he's in, and he's brilliant in that. He's very, very cool. So my pick is Prometheus. Are you guys familiar with Prometheus?
Yeah, he was on my short list as well, Peter. So I'm happy.
Oh, was he? Yeah. So Prometheus first appeared in New Year's Eve, Prometheus in 1998, where he was playing a different character, Retro Lad, I think he was called or something. And basically, these were kind of people who'd won a competition to get onto the Justice League space station, as you do. Do you know what I mean? And then it was revealed that he killed this Retro Lad, and he was really this character, Prometheus. And he's basically the anti-Batman, so he's the reverse of Batman. So his parents were mobsters, hippie mobsters, who were gunned down by police officers. And that set him off. He saw all that and was covered in their blood, like Batman was with the criminals. So it's like the reverse of his origin. He then travels the world, learning martial arts, gets involved with some kind of mystical things and stuff. So we get to Key to Limbo and stuff. And the initial story in Justice League is just tremendous. By Grant Morrison. He's designed by Grant Morrison. And it's just 2 issues of him taking down the entire Justice League very, very easily. He downloads, when he's fighting you, he's recording you and downloading all of your moves into his helmet. It's just a brilliant couple of issues. He's beaten by Catwoman at the end, who he wasn't expecting, who basically whips him in the nuts. And that's how he's beat. The character kind of then was in a few different issues of different series, fought Batman on a few occasions, had a few rematches, and then he was part of this horrendous, was it called Cry for Justice series, where he was revealed to be the mastermind who ended up killing loads of people by making an earthquake, and Green Arrow kills him. Since then, I don't think he's appeared in New 52. He was in Arrow, the TV series, where they completely changed him, really. But he's just got a very cool design, lots of cool weapons, and I always enjoy him when he's in a book. I'd like to see him come back into a new series in some shape or form. James, you said he was on your shortlist, so you're a fan of him, are you?
Absolutely love him. Love the design. I love the twist on, like, just it made me smile. I remember reading like his parents are killed by cops. So I thought that was a really funny twist. But yeah, like a character who single-handedly takes down the whole Justice League. You don't see that very often. So like, a character I've always kind of been drawn to, and again, that just amazing costume, I think, as well.
Very cool. Ben, you familiar with him?
Not that familiar, no. He sounds really similar to Ghostmaker.
Ghostmaker.
The recent Batman character, like similar sort of, parallel kind of journey from childhood to kind of, and the idea of like downloading people's moves and stuff. I think Ghostmaker does something similar, and I don't like the way he looks.
I don't know if this picture does it really justice, Ben. You should have a look at it.
He's purple, Ben. He's your colour.
I'm a less is more kind of guy. There's a lot going on there. Like
he's got a big stick. Does that help at all? He's got a big stick.
Okay, I like a stick and I like purple.
Yeah. he's basically DC's Taskmaster, I think. Really.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Worth reading those couple of issues of Justice League that were back in the late 90s that Grant Morrison wrote, because it is a very interesting couple of issues. Okay, moving on, gents. Ephraim, we'll start with you this time.
So I picked this character. It's called KG Beast. He's a Russian supervillain and assassin for hire, and basically he's an enemy of Batman. He first came out in Batman 417 of March of 1988, created by Jim Starlin and Jim Araparo. The reason I picked him mainly is I know he's a villain of Batman, but this is the villain who tried to kill Nightwing and went through that route where Nightwing, lost, he shot him in the side of his head, but he caused him to have amnesia, and he was calling himself Rick Grayson for a while. And it took a while for him to remember who he was. Basically he shunned the whole Bat family away, and he started having another life. But little by little, he started coming back to his Nightwing persona. And this character has been around, like I said, as an assassin for hire. And the main reason I chose him for this particular issue is because when he tried to assassinate Nightwing, I think it's an interesting character.
I hadn't realized it was him that had assassinated or tried to assassinate Nightwing. Yeah, very cool design. An interesting costume. Ben, do you like that costume?
No. Very 90s, isn't it?
It's got pouches and everything. What's the matter with you?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because obviously he technically was was it Batman Superman, the kind of very
BVS,
dumbed down version.
Yeah, he's the guy that was in Just Soldier.
Certainly didn't look like this.
No. Is it a character you're familiar with, James?
I remember when Arkham Origins was coming out, because there's the whole 8 assassins killing Batman. They kind of teased who was going to appear, and this was one that a lot of people were kind of throwing around. So I read a bit about him. I just kind of got the sense he's sort of like a Russian Bane-esque kind of character. I think I like the design, to be honest. I know it's very 90s, but I think it's cool. I haven't read anything with him in it, though.
His most recent design. I'm sorry. His most recent design is better looking in the Nightwing series. It's not like this one.
I think his original kind of Batman battles were very, very cool back in the day. But yeah, very, very good. James, we'll go to you next.
So this is my high-profile pick. I didn't want to go any of the really core kind of Batman villains, but Scarecrow is. I think every good Batman villain either challenges a particular ideal of his or reflects him in some way. I think Scarecrow is like that use of fear against your enemies, but in a more literal way. So yeah, I've always loved this character. I think, again, sort of right out of a horror movie, almost like Freddy Krueger-esque in a way. I think a lot of the kind of Batman scenes where he's under the influence of fear toxin are some of my favorites as well, like in the Arkham series. It's great in Batman Begins as well. Amazing design, I think. Any iteration of this costume I really love. They have added kind of things over the years, the noose around his neck, the kind of needles on his fingers and everything. Phenomenal.
I love the needles on his fingers. I think that freaks us out even more. I love that.
Yeah, that came from this version is from Arkham Asylum, but then there's kind of a further one in Arkham Knight, where he's played by John Noble, and that one's really feels like a big boss villain and very intimidating. So one I've always kind of loved.
Yeah, I think it's tremendous. I think we did a top 5 costumes a while back, and I think, Ben, did you pick Scarecrow as one of your favorite for costume designs?
I think so, yeah.
Because
I know we spoke about him on something before.
Yeah, because there's a one where, there's lots of different designs, but one of the more recent ones, you had kind of massive long dreadlock kind of things.
With the big sort of Asian inspired kind of straw hat thing. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. I know you're a big fan of this character, Ben.
Oh, I love him. Yeah. Just love the idea, and it kind of closely links with my next choice, actually. The idea, the notion of someone who is incredibly intelligent, an absolute master in their field of, psychiatric stuff, whatever it may be, doctorship, in whatever, and yet they're a psychopath and they've got no morals and they are a bad person. I just find that a really sort of compelling thing to read, and I find them a lot more threatening when Batman is going up against them than the kind of brutes, because a brute's easy to deal with, but a guy who knows how to kind of get to you is really dangerous, and Scarecrow kind of embodies that. And yeah, like as a Wizard of Oz fan, you know, the original kind of Scarecrow where he's literally just this kind of scarecrow, like I just love that design, and it's been fun to kind of see that evolution in recent years. And yeah,
I
very
think
cool.
there's just something inherently creepy about scarecrows as well. I mean, I
Yeah,
remember
definitely.
watching, was it Night of the Scarecrow or something? When I was much younger, it really freaked us
Or
out.
like Jeepers Creepers, for example, that kind of image of him up on the thing always terrified me.
There's
as
a
kid.
whole, there's a
Yeah.
kind of link to religion and the idea of someone
yeah.
essentially on a crucifix, and you know, scarecrow, like the scare is in the name. That's why I've always found like Wizards of Oz interesting, that they made one of the leads, one of the person, you know, one of the characters you're supposed to be most fond of, a scarecrow. You know, like it's funny, but yeah, very cool.
Ephraim, what about yourself? Big fan
I
of
agree,
Scarecrow?
especially what Ben said about the evolution of this character. This is one character if I seen in the streets, it would scare the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
And I like the way throughout the years his costume or his, you know, outlook has just changed into a more scarier looking persona. Recently in a Batman series, I drawing a blank on how he looked like exactly, but man, I go, they've done a really good job of changing this character like throughout the years to look more and more scarier every time he shows up on a book. You know, just fascinating character.
Well, Fuzzy's on the nose there. Wurzel Gummidge is a freaking terrifying character when you actually look at it and see it. I mean, it's awful. But yeah, you're right, Ephraim. And I have to say, you know, we've talked about his costume and how amazing he looks, but actually, do you know what? In those Nolan Batman movies, the simplicity of just having a guy in a suit who sticks a bag on his head, it's perfect.
Absolutely. I love how he stuck around those movies as well. Like he had little cameos in the second and third one. Yeah, that was great.
He kept turning up, didn't he?
That is one of my favorite costumes I've ever done. It was so simple but so effective. Like, and I say it was simple, but there's actually a lot of intricacies to the design of that mask. Like, it's not just Hessian. There's kind of different layers to it, and lacing and stuff like that. Yeah, superb.
Tremendous. So my pick, I mean, you should all be familiar. Ben was cosplaying it at the start. There is the Court of Owls by first created by Scott Snyder in Batman Volume 2, issue number 6. They've been around for a while. They've got their the kind of the super powered versions in the what are they called again? The
Talon.
The Talons, yeah, the Talon characters. I like the Talons, but I find the Court of Owls more interesting. I love this idea of basically a kind of a society of stuck-up snobs, basically, who've behind the scenes been ruling Gotham and all the rest of it for hundreds of years, if not more. And then you've got the kind of the expansion where they've decided to expand out of Gotham into other areas and created the Parliament of Owls. And again, a bit like we're just talking about with that Hessian mask, just such a simple, straightforward design that's utterly terrifying if you see a room full of these guys looking at you, you know? I think for me, these are probably one of the better villains or the more unique villains to come out of Batman in the last however many years. They certainly, I think, will stick around for a long time to come. We've got a version of them in the Gotham TV series, and they were done pretty well. To be fair, it wasn't bad. I would love to see this in the next Batman movie, but I would like to see it just hinted at. So don't make them the villain in the next movie. Just start, if we're going to get a series of 3 movies or whatever, just start planting the seeds of them being in the background and things like that, and then kind of.
Well, it'd be great to do as like a, you know, like Hydra in Winter Soldier. Like, it's a surprise. All these characters that we've known for the last couple of movies have been in this society. I think that'd be a good way to do it. Yeah.
You guys fans of the Court of Owls?
Twit in your ear, and you're like, oh my god.
Are you guys?
I think like the whole kind of the Illuminati thing is sort of easy to be generic, and I think they found a really good way of distinguishing them, particularly visually. Very haunting and creepy. I really love this. Definitely the best Batman thing in the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah. And in that initial kind of run of the Snyder Batman comics, there were, you know, because Batman's been around a long time, obviously, but there were a genuinely new kind of enemy for him, and they practically beat him, you know, which I found really interesting. I love that initial run. What about yourself, Efren? You a fan of the Court of Owls?
Yeah, I've seen them on Gotham specifically. But I like these characters that, they're just normal people, basically snobs who think they're above it all, and they want to do things their way. I think they're interesting villains for Batman, because it's kind of hard to attack villains like these who are, I don't know, who are just more, not maniacs like the Joker or the Riddler, but just conniving,
And it's I think it's interesting, not to get political, but it's it's not a far stretch away from reality, perhaps in some areas. A ruling class kind of people behind the scenes doing whatever they want to do. Ben,
you're really going to come to me on that note? Just wind up the lefty and let him go. Really kind of relevant, I think, particularly at the moment, and I think the seeds have been perfectly kind of placed in that first Batman film, that Gotham genuinely, maybe more so than any other film that's come before, felt like it was in squalor. Do you know what I mean? Like it was in a bad place.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of having this kind of secret society that are actually thriving, keeping all the money, essentially for themselves, is a really kind of intriguing notion. And I think like Talon, I've read him in like some recent Suicide Squad books and stuff, and I've quite enjoyed the idea of him. But like in the earlier stuff, I almost didn't want to see much of the Talon stuff, because that was kind of just going back into that like superhero versus superhero kind of, and I think it's a lot more interesting having like a family, because they have like families with kids with the masks and stuff. That's so much more creepy and interesting. So
I
great
absolutely
choice.
agree, Ben. Absolutely agree. And it, you mentioned the Batman movie there. I'm really hoping there's some continuity in the next movie, in that they don't just ignore the fact that they flooded the majority of Gotham. I would like to see it lean into that, the Batman Cataclysm stories and things like that, No Man's Land.
Yeah.
That kind of story, I think, would be very interesting.
I think the seeds have been set that his parents were owls.
Yeah.
I think they've already kind of, I don't know, gone it now.
Interesting.
Maybe.
So, Ben, your pick. One of my favourites, I have to say.
Yeah, so this is the only Doctor Strange you should care about. It's Dr. Hugo Strange, who debuted in Detective Comics 36, which I didn't realize when I was researching like how far back his character did go. So of course that was Bill Finger and Bob Kane days. But again, similar to Professor Pig, and kind of touching on Scarecrow as well, that he's a master psychologist, scientist, who kind of gained this obsession with Batman. And most of the kind of stories we see Hugo Strange, he's kind of serving as as the staff in Arkham, and he's kind of manipulating, pulling the strings, almost kind of defeating people one-to-one, in different ways. And he kind of sets his sight on Batman. And there may have been other characters before, I'm sure there was, but I remember it being a massive deal that he was one of the first to actually work out that Bruce Wayne was Batman. And there's this great kind of scene where I think it's like a talk show or something random, but he goes on dressed as Batman. Again, it's just like it's cool because he's similar to Bane. He's like he's intelligent, but he's also like, because of his kind of weird wiring, he's also like trained so hard that he's at the peak of like physical competence, and I just find that really interesting as well. We did get BD Wong of Jurassic Park fame playing him in Gotham. I haven't seen much of that, but I do love that actor. So
he was very, very good, actually.
He
did the sinister kind of doctor side of things very well.
And I think debatably the best kind of game over screens in the Arkham games were the ones with Hugo Strange kind of bending over you and telling you that it's over. Just a real fun character. And again, we spoke about it a lot. We spoke about the Batman sequel and who could show up and who could fit into that world. And I think there's potentially no better character than Hugo Strange as well.
See, I did wonder if we might get him in the new Joker movie, if they're going to do Arkham. He might be in
Yeah.
Arkham.
That'd be
But there's
interesting.
also an Arkham HBO series. So
Is there?
these are probably, they're shooing for that, I think. Penguin and then Arkham. It was supposed to be Gotham PD, I think, at first.
Right.
Now it's an Arkham show.
Because the thing with Joker 2, it's like Joker, the Joker film didn't have a villain necessarily. Society was the villain of that film. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it'll be interesting if the sequel does have a villain per se.
Yeah. Great pick. Lovely characters there. So excellent. Moving on.
James. Killing me.
James, we'll come straight to you, mate, because I know you broke Ben's heart by picking this one.
Yeah, I think again, a
I
reflection
called
of
you a
Batman.
prick in our private chat with Peter. Right?
Hey, you got to pick another one, and you'll still get to talk about this one. Yeah, this is the ventriloquist and Scarface. Absolutely love this one. I think again, sort of a reflection of Batman with like duality, and I just love the twist of like the puppeteer is the puppet, like it's the puppet who's really in control of their dynamic. I think that's a really brilliant twist. Unfortunately, we never really got a proper version of them in the Arkham games. You see Joker holding Scarface at one point, but that's kind of it. But a really great version in the animated series, I think. One of my favorite episodes as well. So yeah, fantastic pair of characters, I think.
Did we get him in Gotham? I can't remember seeing him in Gotham.
I don't know.
I think
He hasn't got them now. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Another amazing character. Ephraim, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, I like this character. I've mostly seen him in animated TV shows. You know, it's a very unique character. It's like, wait a minute, who's really in charge? Makes you sometimes thinking, wait a minute, this puppet, is he really alive? You know, what's going on here exactly? You know, when I used to see him, but I thought it's a very cool character. You know, villain too. You know.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's that kind of question as to what's controlling who. There's a great comic series out at the moment called Where Monsters Lie. Where there's a set of characters who are exactly the same as he. It's basically a copy of this. It's a Quilter's dummy into the guy. Sorry, she's a lady. And there's a great bit where the lady's basically put in the police car and you see the ventriloquist dummy stand up with a knife and then go for the police. And I've always kind of wondered if something like that was hinted at in this, because I think they've kind of skirted around the edges of it being some kind of demonic creature or something at some point. Was it in the New Year's Evil series or something? Ben, you probably know more, mate.
Yeah, they've kind of flirted with that idea, and I know the new 52 had like a weird vampire version of Scarface, and the puppeteer was like this new character. But I think the animated show did a fantastic job of this character. Like that was kind of my introduction. Just lends itself well to kind of silliness like that, you know, and the fact that he can't pronounce his B's and it's Gatman and, you know, like silly stuff like that. But then if you were to tell an adult version, there's something really, really quite scary about the kind of, as James says, duality and you know, ultimately it's kind of schizophrenia kind of played out in physical form. I just think that's just so interesting that this old man is actually, you know, kind of living all of his dangerous kind of fantasies. And I think that's really compelling as well with, like, you know, I think as elderly people hold in a lot and kind of, you know, what kind of demons are there, and I love that it's kind of played out through this kind of you know, pantomime sort of gangster puppet. Just a bloody brilliant character. I love it. I did love the second version though, with the she was like involved with the mob or something, but she gets shot in the eye. And he dies. I think Arnold Wexler dies, and she kind of reaches across and takes the puppet, and then kind of becomes like the second version of the ventriloquist, and she has like hair over half of her face, and and she's sort of dressed as like Jessica Rabbit style. That's a really cool version as well. So
it's a cool one. Yeah,
very cool. Andy's getting very deep in the chat here. The greatest villain of all of Batman is Gotham. Rather than the place, if written well, can be a character too. Cages its residents and villains are born from it. Very, very true, mate. Very true. And I'm like you, Ben.
End the show now, Peter.
End the show. That's it. Mic drop. I like Gotham when it's grungy, and which I think is probably my big issue with the Schumacher version of the neon kind of lights and all that crap.
It's a fun house, really. It's not all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ephraim, I haven't got a bloody clue what this is, mate.
Yeah, I don't know.
Before-
I've never seen this.
Before we go any further, I want to give a shout out to Desired Comics Nigel. I met him last year at San Diego Comic-Con. Really nice guy. We bonded almost immediately when we met, and he's a really nice guy. So I just want to say hi to Nigel. Yeah. So,
Welcome, Nigel. Welcome, mate.
yeah.
Any
So-
friend of Ephraim's is welcome here.
Yeah. So I picked Failsafe, and the reason I chose, well, let me talk to you about him. He's an android capable of battling Batman to take on the Cape Crusader if he ever crosses the line into villainy. He came out first in Batman Volume 3, number 125, created by Chip Zdarsky and Jorge Jimenez. He has superhuman strength, enhanced reflexes, access to advanced technology, and weaponry. In the latest Batman series is just going on, he came back and he started battling Batman and even Superman. John Kent fought him, but to no avail. He technically killed Batman, but obviously he didn't die. He got shunted to an alternate reality, and he's just like
I've picked it up where he's been shunted to the other reality. I didn't realize that's what's
really good storyline, and that's why I chose this villainry. He's basically created by Batman to fight him if he ever turns to the dark side, so to speak. And
right.
I thought it was a very interesting character to choose.
Like a Terminator.
Yeah, Terminator or like a RoboCop. Does he speak or have like a personality or anything?
He has a personality, but he's just set on killing Batman. And I forgot in the recent Batman, like I said, he came out. I forgot exactly why he went after him. Something happened. I think he got something happened to him and made him go after Batman again. And it was like nonstop, like a Terminator. He just would not stop until he was finished with him.
Sounds interesting. I might have to read up on those ones. I started rereading Batman when he was shunted to this other reality. But that sounds interesting. Ben, is that something you're familiar with?
So I kind of dipped off post Joker War kind of Miracle Molly time, and I picked it up recently where Batman was already in that new universe sort of thing. So yeah, I need to kind of backtrack and read about this and how he got put there and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's robots in it and stuff like.
Yeah.
I trust Ephraim's opinion implicitly though, and someone did say Ultron, and Phil said Ultron in the chat, which is you sold me on that. So
yeah.
Well, going from one extreme of kind of the Batman villains in terms of sci-fi to basically a guy who just mobs or kills people. So we'll go to yours, Ben. Black Mask.
Yes, so Roman Sionis, which is maybe the coolest bloody name in comic book history, I think, debuted in Batman 386 by Tom Mandrake and Doug Mensch. So his backstory officially, right, dropped on his head as a baby, mauled by a rabid raccoon. So like his parents were like the worst basically, and they were like high society. They kind of knew the Waynes and things, and there's kind of attachments there. But they essentially he kind of grew up in an abusive family, and he started this fascination, or was kind of inspired by the notion of masks, in the masks that his parents wore in society, showing what people thought they were, as opposed to the real monsters that they were kind of behind closed doors. Anyway, he sets their house on fire and kills them eventually. He's just a real he just kind of basks in the unhinged nature of his kind of like, I guess he's very similar to your kind of Professor Pig type character, where he's essentially kind of got forms of kind of multiple personality disorder, schizophrenia, whatever you want to call it. But he does have that kind of mobster way about him as well, and does kind of build an empire. He inherited the family business, which was like a cosmetics company, and but he kind of runs it into the ground. Like there's this whole story where he pushes a product out before it's like tested in that, and like hundreds of women are like scarred for the rest of their lives because the stuff wasn't proper and things.
Yeah.
He does kind of have like goons and things like that. What are they called? I can't remember now. It's like a really rubbish name, the False Face Society. That's kind of what his group is called. Yeah. Of course, we got the version recently in the Birds of Prey movie, played by Ewan McGregor. And I think, you know what, when Ewan McGregor was first announced, I was like, oh, really? Because I'd always kind of envisaged like a proper kind of American Italian, you know, mobster hard nut type character, you know, to play him. And when they announced Ewan McGregor, I was, you know, kind of soft Scottish dude. I was like, oh, but I think he nailed it. I think he did a really good job, and I loved how they didn't shy away from the sick nature of Roman, you know, and his torture and stuff.
He was one of the best bits in that movie, to be fair, wasn't he?
Yeah, and it was a great pairing to have like Zaz for Victor Zaz kind of serve as his number 2. I love that. Wade Williams plays him in the Under the Red Hood animated movie, and I really loved that version as well. Very, very cool. But the mask originally was made from the tombstone of his dad that was like shattered into pieces and stuff, and he kind of welded it together and made this mask. Yeah, just another sick bastard, which is seems to be a trend there, doesn't there?
It's interesting you're commenting, you know, about, you know, the cosmetic side of things, because he's quite prominent in season 2, I think it is, of the Batgirl CW TV show. And or season 3, maybe, I can't remember. But they use him as the kind of the mechanism for getting the original Batgirl back, who left the series, and changing her face. Ruby Rose, I think she was called. Yeah. So they bring her back, but he's operated on her and changed her face and all kinds of stuff. Great character, Ben. I really like him.
Face, personally.
I really liked him in Birds of Prey. I hated the film, but I liked him in Birds of Prey.
Did you hate the film? I honestly think it's
one of the best of all of them.
Yeah, I think it's undersung. I really think it's undersung.
I agree.
I think it could have had a slightly kind of no. You know what? I bloody like that film. Come at me.
Yeah, I mean, in Fuzzy We Trust. Do you know what I mean?
Gash. I can't believe I love the word gash as a.
you know he's got strong feelings when he throws out gash. You know what I mean? It's a tough one. Okay, so my last pick is Harvey Dent, Two-Face. Absolutely love this character. First appeared in Detective Comics 66 back in 42. You all know the story of Harvey Dent. I just love that dual nature of him, and I love the fact that he kind of represents that all of us are on that knife's edge of just one bad decision or one bad day, we could go absolutely nuts, you know. And I love the idea of a dual personality in him being, you know, an incredibly good moral guy who just could go mental at any point. I think the coin toss, when they really play on that, is a superb kind of dynamic and makes it really interesting that you could live or die, you know, at any point. I keep coming back to the series No Man's Land, where he's literally set himself up as kind of the judge, and anybody that's brought before him, it's just the coin toss to whether you live or die, basically. We've had a superb portrayal of him in Batman
Forever.
In the Nolan verse Batman, but yeah, I think it was just absolutely horrifically gruesome. I just thought the makeup on that, the special effects were absolutely phenomenal. Sad we didn't see more of him, to be honest. But yeah, I always find him a very interesting character, and I just think the aesthetic of him is stunning. Not a one I've got in hot toy format yet, or a 1/6 scale figure. I might have to pick him up.
That's all it
you guys fans of Two-Face?
Oh yeah. He's one of the pillars, isn't he, of the Rogues Gallery. I think if you were to ask anyone to pick 5, you know, Batman villains, then most people will say Two-Face as part of that. Again, you know, just to kind of echo what you say, really, just in terms of the stories that you can tell, it's just something so interesting. A lot more interesting than your kind of Professor Pig and your kind of Black Mask, where their duality both are bad, you know, but with him
Yeah.
it's like one is trying to be good, you know, and yeah, like the sort of flick of the coin can be quite campy, but it can also be a real kind of tense moment, you know, where
Yeah.
you just can't predict what's going to happen next. So and yeah, visually, you know, whether it's purple, red, blue, or you know, real burns as we saw in the
Yeah.
Dark Knight film, you know, I think it always just looks so interesting to see. Yeah, love it.
James's computer's obviously exploded there. He was having some trouble before he came on air, so he's disappeared. I'm sure he'll be back in a bit. Yeah, I just love the character. I think he's great. Captain Comics is just commenting there, saying Eraser, Conman King, Kite Man, Penny Plunder. So Penny Plunder, I read it before the show, Cap. You're right. He's the reason that they've got the big penny in the back cave. I never knew that. I never realized it was linked to an actual villain from back in the day, which is really interesting. Fuzzy's saying that the bad guy in No Country for Old Men uses the coin toss to great effect. Not seen that movie.
So a long time ago, but I was like at uni and had my mind on other things, shall we say? So I really want to rewatch it because the kill scenes are great.
Phil's asking a hard question here: who's the better Rogues Gallery, Batman or Spidey? Ooh,
I'd say
Easy.
Batman. Yeah.
Saying Batman. I think I probably agree.
Before we move on from Two-Face, I love that, like, again, duality. I think that it reflects in Batman. He is literally two different people, but also like Batman is very much like order versus chaos, and Harvey Dent is order, and like the Two-Face persona is chaos. So that's also kind of an interesting aspect of that.
Yeah, totally, James. And I think, you know, it's that side story, not side story, that fact as well, that had this tragic event not happened, this was the guy who was going to kind of set Gotham right in some ways. He was, you know, he could have been the best ally Batman's got, and it was taken away from him. So yeah,
well, it's just like such an interesting debate that he always poses about justice as well.
Yeah,
you know, because the Two-Face, the bad side often serves as just the executioner for to bad people as well. So it's very very compelling.
And James, you mentioned there Tommy Lee Jones's portrayal of Batman.
Ugh.
Wow. Yeah. They just do Joker again. That's what he was told, I think. You know. Yeah.
It was just awful. Absolutely awful. So guys, that was our picks. I'm quite interested in that we didn't pick some of the big guns. Now, I would imagine we're all kind of... I know James said to us in mine and James's chat, well, I think he said, Ben will pick the Riddler. So nobody's picked the Riddler for this in terms of top three.
Slow hanging fruit, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman were kind of off for me.
Scarecrow, Two-Face.
Is there anybody you think we've missed out that you think should deserve to be in that top list?
What's the name of that character that's like not Killer Croc, but he's like he can change into different characters. It looks like all like blobby looking.
Clayface.
Yeah, Clayface. Yeah. I think that would have been a good character to choose too. But I like that we picked kind of like characters that normally we wouldn't, you know, like we didn't pick Riddler, Penguin, you know, Catwoman. We just picked.
He's like Penguin.
I like Penguin.
Yeah, I like Penguin.
Quack quack.
He's not the one that I thought. Fuzzy loves a good pigeon person. He keeps mentioning pigeon person. I was thinking, you know, I was really kind of going back and forth thinking I should have had Man-Bat in there. I love Man-Bat, you know, just the aesthetics of him and things like that. And again, another tragic character. You could argue he's just a version of Morbius, I suppose. You know, he's very similar in regards to that. Raj Al Ghul, we didn't have him on there either.
Yeah, definitely. Punchline is one I really love, but I just feel like too new. Give her a few more years before she kind of competes. You know?
Jarvis Tetch, I was very close to putting in Mad Hatter.
Well, one good
Harley
thing
Quinn.
about this, we can always revisit this topic. You know, there's so many.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Why don't we do anti-heroes? Because I actually think there's loads of anti-heroes. I wanted to give some shine to Clown Hunter.
Yeah, you like him, don't you?
That's a great
guy. Because you mentioned Harley Quinn, I don't really consider Harley Quinn a villain anymore. I know, like, a lot of her portrayals are still villainous, but like she's kind of more of an anti-hero now in the comics.
She's murdered a lot of people, James, hasn't she?
She what?
She's murdered a lot of people, hasn't she?
Haven't we all?
Yeah, but she's not.
But she's not a bad person.
Tuesday. No, she's not. She's not like villainous really anymore.
Comics,
Like,
innit?
she's
Let 'em
moved
off.
away from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't mean it. Yeah. I did ask the great public in Instagram to put forward some of their top picks, and we've got a whole host of really interesting ones. Two-Face mentioned Kite Man. Yeah. Hush. I get his name wrong. Victor Zaz, is it Zaz?
Zaz, yeah.
I love him because again, I nearly picked him because again, just
Oh, he's
another
great.
a psycho who caused numbers out on his body. Incredible character. What had Riddler, Joe Schumacher, Pink? Sorry, not Pink Flamingo. He's just Flamingo, isn't he? He's just called
Flamingo. How dare you?
Yeah, he looks silly, but he's a sick so and so, isn't he?
Yeah, he eats people's faces.
Well, like James says, yeah, he doesn't mean
Tuesday.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Freeze. We didn't pick Mr. Freeze. I mean,
No, it's like it's low hanging fruit, and it's hard with these things because you try not to. Oh god damn it! Let's just do an hour on Mr. Freeze.
Yeah. And I love that one. Someone said Batman's emotions, which I thought was really quite.
That was funny.
Funny.
That was Andy,
I
think, wasn't it? Said
that. And we've got the Talons and of course Bane. I try not to think about Bane because I still can't get over his appearance in Batman Forever. That was horrific beyond belief. We also asked guys to talk about some of our least favorite Batman villains. Now, I think it's really interesting this because you have both picked two that I think each other like. Certainly James and Ben.
Yeah. One of these
James,
was on my favorite. It was my favorite, and one of my favorites initially, and I pulled back on it last minute.
James was originally going to talk about Clock King because he likes him so much, and Ben's picked him as the worst. Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Ephraim, what the hell is that? I don't know what that is in the middle.
So, honestly, guys, I had to look up, villains of Batman, and there was a whole list of them, obviously, but I tried to pick one that was like, I didn't know about at all. And I've never even seen this character in the comic books, but I just looked up his history and I thought it was a good one to pick. His name is the Baffler. He's a low-level villain of high muscle mass and poor education. And,
I reckon that's a cost.
Just leave it there.
Yeah.
Baffler.
So he was
Look at those thighs. Look at those thighs.
Yeah, he's just evil at heart. He's just here and failed at most independent attempts to do well. Just about anything. So I just picked them, because I didn't know that much about, lesser known villains of Batman. And he appeared in Robin, 9 appearances, Detective Comics 1, created by, I don't even know who the hell he was created by. So,
I wouldn't worry.
I don't think anyone cares.
Yeah, I'm not going to rush back to read Ephraim about the Baffler.
I'm going to do a whole video on the Baffler pretty soon.
Yeah.
Do it.
I did very similar to you, Ephraim. I went back and looked for ones I wasn't familiar with really, and I found this guy,
You didn't know the Crazy Quilt? No,
I've heard of him, and I'm sure I've saw him in the Batman movie cartoon version. But yeah, the Crazy Quilt. So basically, he's an artist. He first appeared in Boy Commandos 15. He likes colourful quilts. He likes to do quilt-themed crimes. More recently, in the New 52, he's been kind of changed around to be some kind of geneticist or something, and he was involved with when there was that weird stuff with Joker finding the immortality stuff. Can't remember what it was called. There's something in his spine that made him immortal. But the Crazy Quilt apparently designed a stitch that you could stitch into people and make them immortal or something. He just looks shit. He looks shit, and his helmet projects colors. So yeah, not my cup of tea, that one. Ben, who did you go for?
Personally, I feel attacked, by the way, by this Tweedledum and Tweedledee picture. I don't know where you've doctored that image of me from, but so I went for Clock King. Yeah, I'm not going to go into his history and all that.
Son of a bitch.
I don't think people care enough. Debuted in World's Finest 111. I think he was originally a Green Arrow villain, I want to say. He is kind of famously in the old Batman 66 series. Is it Victor Timely or something, his name?
No, that's Kang, isn't it?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's not Kang. I just thought of, what's his name? Talkman.
Tempest,
No,
Tempest something, is it?
William Talkman. That's it. Jesus Christ, it gets worse. Yeah, just the most ridiculous thing, and all of his kind of crimes are based around kind of time centric kind
Timekeeping.
of.
He's
Yeah,
very
gimmicks.
sharp, like on time, you know.
Clocks.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, isn't it? How
Oh, sure.
what I love about some writers is how they can take pieces of shit characters like that and kind of reinvigorate them and turn them into something interesting. So I remember reading Clock King. He didn't look like that, mate. But I remember reading Clock King in the Teen Titans series by Jeff Jones, I think it was, and he was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely. An amazing Batman the Animated Series episode, I think, which is why I was going to put this character in my top 3. I think
his backstory is quite tragic as well. It's like he was committing a crime to save his sister, and he thought he only had like 6 months to live or something, so he wanted to get the money to save his sister, and then Green Arrow catches him, puts him away, and then he finds out when he's in prison that he hasn't got a life-threatening disease. The doctor screwed up, and his sister dies while he's in prison. So
I mean,
yeah.
then it feels to me like you're changing your mind here.
So one of my favourite villains is Clock King, aka William Talkman.
You also like the clothes brands, don't you? The shops.
Cosplay coming soon.
Yeah. James, Tweedledum and Tweedledee.
Yeah, well, for worst one, like, because I think there's sort of a value to your crazy quilts and your condiment kings, and we've even seen like with Kite Man's kind of been reinvigorated with Harley Quinn and Polka Dot Man, kind of in that same vein, amazing version in Suicide Squad. But I know Ben's gonna be shocked at this. I'm not really a fan of the fairy tale kind of Batman villains, like probably Mad Hatter aside. But you have like Tweedledum and Tweedledee and like Humpty Dumpty is another one as well.
Yeah.
So like, I just think they look stupid, and like it's a stupid idea, and there's no value to these whatsoever, and get them out of my Batman universe. That's what I say.
Wow.
Wow, that escalated, didn't it?
That's angry game.
And now that Ben has pointed out that one, like dead set, I can't take my eyes off it. I'm thinking, Ben, we should cut
It's
and
me and
paste
Comic
that head.
Deal right there.
We should cut and paste that head and put it on your new logo. I think.
That's a great idea.
Okay, guys. Yeah, I think like Spider-Man, Batman has some questionable villains, I think. But like I say, it's always interesting, I think, when they kind of reinvigorate them and try and make them a little bit more interesting. Jeff
They're
Jones
just
is normally
two
very good at that.
goons, like they're just two
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 thugs,
goons
aren't
to
they?
Yeah, but
Jarvis
they're
Tetch, who he dresses up as
stupid
Tweedledum
goons.
because it's him who's got the fascination, not them. They're just two idiots. That's what
So
I love
bad.
about it.
What is
Just
it?
terrible.
They're just stupid. Is that right, Jim?
Yeah, just stupid. Get them out.
Terrible argument.
Okay, guys. So that's the end of we're Bat Villains. Just before we move on to see what's coming up on the channels, thank you very much to everybody in the chat. The chat's been buzzing. We've had lots of interaction, so thank you. And thank you very much, guys, for all of you. Sorry. Just point out that I look like Anton Deck. Thank you very much. Efren, do you know who Anton Deck are?
Sorry, say that again?
Do you know who Anton Deck are?
No.
That high class celebrities are on the kind of probably they're out the same tier as Tom Cruise over in the UK. For that kind of level celebrity.
Yeah.
So thank you very much to everybody for taking part. So what have we got coming up? Next top 3, gentlemen. We're going to be doing this in April. We've got Star Wars coming up, and I want to do some Star Wars. Now, I thought we'll do it a little bit different. Not different, but just to add a little bit more spice to it. What I want is your top 3 Star Wars scenes. So not movies, but top 3 bits that have happened in Star Wars. Can be from any of the movies, any of the shows, cartoons,
comics.
Animated, anything.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Obviously, the one like we did with Joker, I think we'll take off the table the whole "Luke, I am your spoilers." Luke, I am your father, because that's
Spoilers.
Peter, I'm dibsing one right now, just so you know.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
it'll be the same rules as usual, guys. First one's to us gets them.
Yeah.
He's dibsing Sebulba versus Jar Jar Binks.
Shit. Now he knows.
All right. Okay.
So that's going to be our next top 3 show, guys, and that'll be in April. Next week, we've got our spotlight show on The Punisher, where we're going to look at the history of The Punisher, his media appearances, which there's not that many of, really, but we'll talk about the TV show, I guess, some of the merchandise attached to him, and recommend a few reads. So really looking forward to that, because Punisher is a very cool character. So looking forward to doing that one. And he's just asking, just the movies? No, mate. It can be from any Star Wars franchise, comic books, all the rest of it, animated, and anything Star Wars related. Hello there. Shout out to the UK comic community. We've got This Week in Tropolis. Their season's just finished, so they're not on tomorrow night. But please do go and check out their back catalogue and give the guys a like and a follow, because they do some great content. We've got The Nerd Herd on a Wednesday. Not sure what book they're reading this week, but please do go and check them out. We've got the Killer Comic Show on Thursday nights, where they talk about the recent comic reads and all kinds of other stuff, toys, top topics, all the rest of it. And I was guesting on their show last week. I had a great time, so thank you very much for inviting us on that, guys. And then we've got the Grey Man for his Cover Slinger show on a Saturday night, which is always an interesting show, so go and check him out. Sorry, just before we move on to the other thing, should also mention that this Sunday, Comic Lad Simon is going to go live, I think at 8 o'clock, for another one of his lives. It's his second live show, so please do check him out on Sunday. Ben, what you got?
Yeah, so this is just my brand new logo. So I debuted this last week, and I got a new intro and outro and stuff like that. I've just kind of freshened things up a little bit on my channel.
Can I just say your new intro is stunning? I love it.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Very cool. I'm irritated because I would like that, to be honest. Not with you, with me.
I thought I'd inject a little bit more personality into it. So, my channel's still very kind of ad hoc. It's very bohemian in approach, but I'm hoping to probably go live Friday around about 4:30, I think. So if you want a geeky gas bag about the last couple of weeks worth of geek news, then swing by my channel for that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ben. And I love the new logo.
Thanks, mate.
Phil is saying that it's Dark Knight Returns. So that's timely, Phil. Excellent. That'll be an interesting discussion because it's a classic. So yeah, looking forward to that. Connie's saying her Star Wars list would be all from the Clone Wars. Interesting picks, Connie.
Lots of good stuff in there.
Yeah. Oh, James, I miss this.
I know. I was putting this like a little thank you post together, and I was honestly felt really kind of sad it's over now. But yeah, we just wrapped our Last of Us weekly reviews show, so there's 9 episodes up on my channel. You can catch on the rewind if you like.
Gee, where are you on that image?
At the top, you've cropped me out.
Oh,
or I cropped myself. I cropped myself out, possibly. I don't know.
How dare you?
Very cool.
I had you front and center. You front and center, Peter. You're the star of the show. You're the main attraction.
That was great fun, James. I really did enjoy that. And I hear the new series is coming 2025. I think they've announced.
Bella Ramsey says early 2025, late 2024 is kind of what they're guessing.
Good stuff. Can't wait. Yeah. And what's this?
Yeah, and I was on an Australian podcast. I got up at 6 a.m. to do it, so please, guys, listen. It was, Adaptapal. So this is Dustin, who joined us for one of the weeks. It's his kind of weekly podcast. So I joined them to talk the whole season of The Last of Us. So we had a really good conversation, really nice guys. So, check them out.
Good stuff. I'm still not really, I think I'm too old. I haven't gotten into podcasts yet. That's something I need to probably learn how to listen to. I'll listen to the game. Send us on.
It's on Spotify. Anywhere you get your podcast, it should be up there. So,
lost us. Efren.
Before I start talking about my segments, I can't wait for this next one we're going to be doing on Star Wars. I already have one that I've chosen already. It's a great topic. I know we've been trying to do Star Wars for a while now. We get them putting in the back burner. I'm glad you chose this one, man. I got one from Star Wars Rebels that I'm choosing.
Nice.
So, I just
really
cool.
I already know which one you're talking about.
Just see if you do. So when is Star Wars Celebration? Is it in a couple weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh, yeah.
2 weeks. Yeah.
If you guys can try to go on Instagram Live. I'd like to see it.
I'm going to try and do a YouTube Live. Famous last words, but I'm going to try and do a walk around
Nice.
Live. We'll
Oh, that'd
see.
be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, too. Yeah, cool. So, anyways, my read of the weeks is where I pick. These are on YouTube Shorts, where I just pick a book that I like reading in the past, and I talk about it, a brief synopsis of it. And what else did you have for me? I do a show and tell. It's basically what I picked up recently. I would never buy this. Some stuff on the whim. It's not a comic book. So let me tell you that. Okay, but it's obviously comic book related, and this is coming out probably in about 2 or 3 days.
Is it a 1/6 scale action figure, Efren? Have we finally convinced you?
No.
I love that T-shirt, Efren.
Oh,
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, very cool.
Marvel
just before we move on to your last slide, Andy's just pointing out that Comic Deal James was in my logo somehow. Can't wait for the Star Trek show. That's next, Andy. Ben's desperately keen for that one, I'm sure. Connie's saying, go live and let me seethe in jealousy. Efren, your last show.
This is another YouTube short that I just pick up on, that I talk about Marvel or superhero trivia, stuff about, like, did you know Spider-Man was, had 6 arms at one time, stuff like that, Yeah. So it's just fun doing it. These are YouTube shorts. And that's it. Oh, of course, our monthly videos with Peter, which I always enjoy doing.
Yeah. Brilliant. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Efren. Right, gents, that's WOWAC. So thank you very much to everybody who's been on the panel. It's been great fun. I do enjoy doing these top threes. It's just nice to see other people's views and opinions. And thank you very much to everybody in the chat. It's been buzzing, so I really do appreciate you all stopping by. Looking forward to next week's show where we're going to be talking Punisher, and looking forward to your show on Friday, Ben. So that should be good fun as well. And with that, we shall call it a night as soon as I find the right button. And there we are. Okay. Right. Thanks very much, everybody. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.